Good morning. We're just a little late, but I was watching how people were having good conversations, so I am starting now. So welcome to our meeting. My name is Jane Dolan. I'm the president of this board, honored to be the president of these amazing people and staff. So welcome to board members, board staff, our in-person attendees, which I'm always happy to see faces, and all of those who are attending online. One of whom you'll know is a board member temporarily. So I have checked, and I believe everyone who requested to be logged on has been admitted. Is that correct? I'm getting a nod from Chavez. Thank you very much. Please know that our meetings are being recorded. We should hear that voice at some point. So I'm now going to officially call a meeting of the Central Valley Flood Protection Board of Friday, September 27th, 2024 to order. First item of business is to establish attendance and a quorum. So I'm going to ask our board clerk, Jonah Knapp, to call the roll.
Member Andrews,
Here.
Member Bosler,
Here.
Member Griego,
Here.
Member Countryman,
Present.
Secretary Johnson,
I'm here. I'll be there in person in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, be safe.
Vice President Valines, President Dolan.
I'm present. That confirms we have a quorum. There are 6 here in the room. There's one online and on his way. So that's all 7 board members. I'm just going to say at this point, I missed you all last month when I was gone, but I understand it went well, which I'm kind of sad for, but glad. Yes, and thank you, Vice President Valines. I was thinking I would be coming back and they're saying, no, we want the Vice President back. So thank you for handling that. So our first item, I'm going to call to see if there are any announcements or information. So I'm going to turn that to, and I know that there are, so I'll turn that to our Executive Officer, Chris Lee.
Thank you, President Dolan. So today is the celebration event for the 57th Annual California Native American Day in recognition of 100 years of citizenship and the fight for the right to vote. The celebration event is occurring from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the west steps of the Capitol and is free and open to the public. There are several scheduled events, Native American art and food vendors, and exhibit booths. The board's tribal liaison, Jordan Robbins, will be in attendance at the DWR booth if you are able to stop by.
Does that last past our meeting ending?
Well, 10 to 2, so.
Maybe we'll see how we're doing.
Yep.
In the past, we did not have flood board presence at these, so I'm really glad that we've been able to coordinate that with DWR. And it's unfortunate that these are the same day as our meetings. And I was told that we were all asked to put our microphones up like this. So I saw how obedient you all were. So that was great. I should also indicate that we have our board counsel, G. Dua, our chief engineer, Michael Wright, and our chief deputy, Andrea Buckley, sitting up here with us. Do you have more?
Yes, I'll be compliant here as well. We have 2 departures to announce. First one that I missed announcing last month. Kushal Sharma, a staff engineer in the Sacramento levee section, left the board in August and is now with DWR's Operation and Maintenance Division. Kushal was with the board for approximately 4.5 years and was known for his organization, dependability, and being a great team player. Our loss is certainly DWR's gain. Next, Israel Tamiru, a staff engineer in the Sacramento levees section, left the board earlier this month. Israel was with the board for only a short period, but was a good team player. Israel will be pursuing graduate studies while working towards his professional engineering licensure. We wish both Kushal and Israel the best in their professional endeavors.
We do, and please pass that on. Sorry to see talent leave us, but congratulations to their choices.
On a brighter note, we have two new staff to welcome. We welcome two new water resource engineers in the Deferred Enforcement Compliance section, who both started with us a couple of weeks ago. They're sitting there in the front row. First, we welcome Jeremiah Peak. Before joining the board, Jeremiah managed projects for DCC Engineering Company, where he worked closely with reclamation districts in the Delta region. He graduated from UC Davis with a degree in civil engineering, go Ags. Jeremiah is pursuing his PE license and intends to become a certified floodplain manager.
Welcome,
Jeremiah.
welcome. I see you got the memo that you need to stand up so you can see it. So do that again. Thank you.
Next, we welcome Richard Rutsky. Did I get that right? Richard was a facilities manager at DMG Maury in Davis, California, where
Say
he
that.
learned the ins and outs of project management, environmental code, permitting compliance, and geotechnical, and was responsible for various facility compliance issues and managing multi-million-dollar projects. He was also a lead project manager on commercial projects for a local contractor in Sacramento before joining the board. And he holds a degree in mechanical engineering from UC Berkeley. Welcome, Richard.
Please say the last name again.
Oh, you're gonna make me do it. Rutsky. Did I get that
Is
right?
that correct, Brisky? Well, welcome. We should probably ask your boss to stand up. You're doing a good job with choices there. Subair Dosu. Nice work.
Subair is the happiest one of all. Not that he has that.
It's always hard to tell if you're happy or not, because you are one of the most smiling people that I know. Yeah. Mr. Dosu is saying he's happy they're joining the team. You didn't go to the microphone, so I have to translate you there. That's great. Welcome, gentlemen.
That's
Do
all
you
I
have
have.
any other announcements?
That's all I have.
Okay. At this time, as the president of this board, I want to enter a statement into the record. This is a statement given on behalf of the Flood Board regarding the American River Common Features projects. The United States Army Corps of Engineers and its non-federal sponsors, of which the Central Valley Flood Protection Board and the Sacramento Area Flood Control Association are the non-federal sponsors, are collectively addressing the extensive comments of the draft environmental impact statement and report, the SEISR, that was that came out December 2023. And these are to cover the Sacramento River Erosion Contract 3 and the Lower American River Contract 3B, among others. Many thousands public comments were received where the period ended in February 2024. So the work is continuing and ongoing to address those concerns. The certification of the final document for these projects is subject to approval of this board. And the timing for the public consideration of that has not yet been determined. Construction cannot begin before the board certifies the final document, and this process will not be completed in time for any construction in 2024, 2025, as originally anticipated in the draft document. As such, construction start will be delayed by at least 1 year. As always, the Flood Protection Board provides an opportunity for public discussion and comment when it is appropriate and on the agenda. And the final document that will be before us will have consideration and allowing public comments and a publicly noticed meeting. But the timing of that is yet to be determined. That's a statement, just a statement, no discussion, no asking for opinions. Thank you all. Now for a very brief overview of our agenda, and this is indeed an overview. When it comes to agenda time, there'll be more information as to the substance of that. First up will be approval of minutes. I see our secretary is here. We'll call on him when that's time. Welcome. Glad to see you. Item number 5 consists of consent items, and there are 3. 2 are permits, and 1 is a transmittal of a letter of intent. Item number 6 comes after that, and it is identified as public comment. I see some folks in the audience who know what that means. It is a time that we allow folks to come to the podium and offer a statement or make a comment for something that is not on our agenda today, but is within our jurisdiction. And it is just for the public comment, not for interchange and discussion. Item 7 is a written submittal of a legislative update assembled by our executive officer. Item 8 is one item of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and it's levy inspection report. Item 9 are 3 items that are called board items. Therefore, some kind of action or something more than what is on consent. 2 are permits to be presented and to be voted upon, and the other is a briefing of a permit that will be considered at a future meeting, and today's presentation is informational. Item 10, we will note the monthly report of activities by the Department of Water Resources. We do not expect them to be here or online to provide any additional oral comments. Item 11, pay attention now, board members. This is where we want to hear activity reports. Oh, item 11 is reports from our division and branches. I have some notes here and I just got a little excited about hearing from the board. Item 12, board member comments of activities there. So I'm going to ask for those of you that got to go to Lookout SLUB to say something because I was not able to attend. Item 13, we list upcoming meetings and dates and locations to be sure that we all know that. Item 14 is to be a closed session, which we will hold this meeting. At the time that all the rest of it's done, we're either going to ask you all to leave or we're going to leave for maybe 20 minutes. And our council says that it is intended that there probably will be no announcement at the end of that. But we do come back and we say whether there is or not. And after that, we have a formal adjournment. I find as the board president that running the meeting, it's always a challenge to predict what the flow of the meeting will be and when there might be breaks. But I do want you to know I do call for breaks when I think that it would be appropriate for us to stretch our legs. It does not look like we will be here long enough to call for a lengthy lunch break. So if you all get a little bit peckish, there are snacks over there to keep you going so we don't have to break for an hour to go find food. Oh, and one of our audience members graciously brought donuts, including my favorite, and it's not $50, so I don't have to report it. But I am saying thank you. That was very kind of you to do it. And that's for everybody, not just for me. And they're at the table over there. The other snacks are here. They're for everybody as well as the board. So let's proceed with our agenda. Ready to go? Are you talking? Okay, you're talking. Okay. Okay, first up is minutes of August 23rd. Secretary Johnson.
Thank you, President Dolan. Good morning, everybody. This is approval of the August 23rd, 2024 minutes. I've reviewed them. I believe they're in order, and I move that they be approved.
Motion is to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Second by Member Griego. The motion to approve by Secretary Johnson. The second by Board Member Griego. Please call the roll.
Member Andrews,
Yes.
Member Bosler,
Aye.
Member Griego,
Yes.
Member Countryman,
Yes.
Secretary Johnson,
Aye.
Vice President Valines, President Dolan.
I abstain. I was not there. The motion is carried. 6 voted in favor and 1 abstention. So we will move to the consent items. These are items that our board staff has indicated are thoroughly reviewed and ready to be adopted. So the 3 items will be spoken, but we will take them as one motion unless someone on the board or the audience wants to remove one or more of them for discussion. Other than that, it's just what they are and a vote.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Let me announce them first.
Okay.
Item 5A is to approve permit number 19734 to construct various activities in the Yuba River North Training Wall Project Phase 2. I'll just take a moment here to say that the board received over 800 pages of information on this. The board members, some of us have been to this site 3 times for site visits, some for 2, some for 1. So it's not something we are unfamiliar with. And if you want to go online, read the 800 pages, you're welcome to do that. Item 5B, because it's a very interesting project. Item 5B is to approve permit 19848, City of Bakersfield Water Resource Department, Kern River Weir Replacement Project. They said for me to do this, but I'm hearing feedback. Item 5C is to approve staff's findings of a letter of intent for Reclamation District 2091 and Reclamation District 2063 for a letter of intent to be submitted to the Army Corps that they will be preparing a system improvement plan. Item 6 is public comment. I already said what that's for. Item 7, legislative update. I'm doing the review again, so I'm going to go back. 3 items on the consent. They've been announced.
I'd like to make a
Recognize
motion.
Member Griego to approve the consent agenda.
Yes.
Is there a second? Second by Johnson. Does anyone want to remove one? I see no one wants to remove one, so please call the roll for. Anyone in the public want to remove one of these? No. Okay, please call the roll. I'm getting in the rhythm now.
Member Andrews,
Aye.
Member Bosler,
Aye.
Member Griego,
Yes.
Member Countryman.
Aye.
Secretary Johnson,
Aye.
Vice President Valines. President Dolan.
Yes. The consent items have been approved. The motion was unanimous, all 7 board members. So now we'll proceed to item number 6. This is public comment. Do we have any cards? Okay. This is a time for members of the public, whether they're here with us in person or online, to provide a statement before the board. So who is number? I'm going to take the people in the audience first. So anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward and make a statement, if you would come forward, ma'am, and state your name, that would be good. I do understand we have some hands raised. I'll call on them after those who are present. So good morning, and you are?
I'm Christine Olson from Garden Highway. Thank you. You may be good people with a hard job, but your agency's enforcement actions against Garden Highway property owners is a mess, and it needs your attention. Your agency may have the intention of using taxpayer money to maximize flood protection, but that's not true on Garden Highway. With a new levee in place, there's no evidence that a levee failure on Garden Highway would result in any flooding beyond Garden Highway. You and I may like to believe that your agency acts with respect for the law and people's rights. That's not been my experience. Here are a few of many examples. Your agency sent surprise violation notices to Garden Highway property owners without evidence to support any of the allegations. To date, and despite requests, no evidence has been provided. The government making charges against people and their property without evidence is a fundamental violation of the law and people's rights under the law. Yet enforcement continues. While your agency has statutory enforcement power in the same way law enforcement agencies have statutory arrest powers, agencies still have to comply with state and federal laws that govern those actions. Required state approval of your regulations is based on information your agency submits, which provides substantial documented evidence of public necessity, which cannot be accomplished in any other way that is less costly to taxpayers and less burdensome on private property owners. This information is the legal foundation for your regulations. Your staff can't provide this information, yet enforcement continues. Your staff says permits are required for existing landscaping, fencing, and for new owners of existing homes. But your staff can't provide any evidence of public necessity for permits or evidence that the public's benefit from permits outweighs the cost to taxpayers and property owners. On Garden Highway, we were charged with violations requiring landscape removal for drive-by levee inspection. The Corps says drive-by inspection is inadequate. So why is your staff enforcing these regulations? Drive-by levee inspection is dangerous and it's ineffective. On Garden Highway, drive-by inspection is distracted driving, which is illegal. It's happening on a dangerous roadway that is half the width it should be for safety, with blind curves, no shoulders, speeders, drunk drivers, and use by vehicles, cyclists, pedestrians, and wildlife, all of which can appear suddenly. Drive-by inspection on Garden Highway is ineffective because drivers can't see down the levee slope. As pointed out in a Corps report, the natural slope of the Garden Highway levee is very steep. A driver near the center line of the road on Garden Highway or on top of the new levee simply cannot see down a steep slope. Because of the steep slope, developed lots have fill against the levee slope on some or all of the levee slope, and no inspector can see the levee slope through fill. So taxpayers are paying a lot for ineffective levee inspection, which the Corps does not support, on a levee that does not threaten public safety.
Ms. Olson, I neglected to say that we normally say 3 minutes, but I'm letting you go a little bit longer. Are you?
I'm
close to
sorry,
that?
I thought your website said 5 minutes.
Oh,
I'm almost finished.
okay, thank you, ma'am.
Staff says you need drive-by waterside levee inspection during rare high water events. You don't. Requirements from your agency and the Corps must be based on public necessity supported by evidence. Evidence from engineering for the new levee shows the primary levee integrity issue on Garden Highway is seepage. That's why the new levee has the big cutoff walls. During high water, seepage is seen on the land side. On the water side, the problem is underwater. By law, your agency and the Corps must consider regulation alternatives less burdensome to property owners, and alternatives are available. Given Garden Highway's low public flood risk, residents could self-report levee issues the same way they report crime and fire. Or ground imaging and aerial imaging would provide much better levee assessment information than someone looking at the outside of the levee. And images from those technologies could be compared over time to monitor levee changes. You are flood protection leaders in a state known for technology. If levee assessment is important, why aren't you using modern tools? Garden Highway residents care about levee stability. We drive and walk the levee daily. We're a free levee information resource for your agency and the Corps. By law, requirements your agency and the Corps impose on us must be based on substantial documented evidence of public necessity that can't be accomplished in other ways less costly to taxpayers and less burdensome to private parties. That's not happening on Garden Highway. I'm not telling you anything I haven't told your staff, yet enforcement continues. I hope you care enough to do something about this. I leave you with this from the California Government Code, quote, "It is the intent of the legislature that agencies shall actively seek to reduce the unnecessary regulatory burden on private individuals," end quote. Thank you for your time.
We acknowledge your input. Is there someone else here in the audience? I do know that there's some online that are associated with that, but I said I'd call you. Someone in the audience that got a card. So I'll call Brenda Guston. And after Ms. Guston will be Pete Spalding. You want to switch? Okay, I was watching you say that to each other, Mr. Spalding and Ms. Guston. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, President Dolan, board members, President Dolan, good to see you back again. We missed you last month. It's only been a month since I was here last, but it seems like a long time ago. And thank you for reading your statement this morning. Guess what I wanted to talk about today? The Lower American River Erosion Control Project and the postponement of construction till at least 2026. As you know, we've been asking for three things. We've been asking for a pause on the work in contract 3B and 4 and the American River mitigation sites. We've been asking for meaningful community engagement, and we've been asking for the design of alternatives using engineering with nature principles, nature-based solution alternatives, and the state-of-the-art modeling and we want to follow all the new developments that have come out since the draft DIR EIS came out. Things like the Biden-Harris Climate Change Initiative and Governor Newsom's 30 by 30 program. This is going to take extra time, but it's how we get to a win-win-win outcome. Erosion control, flood protection, and a wild and scenic American river. Let's do this right. So since there is a pause, whether it's a pause or a delay, we'll take it. And that's the reason for the donuts today, a little bit of a celebration. So you're welcome for the donuts. Since there is a pause and a delay, this is an opportunity to achieve changes in the project footprint and the erosion control techniques that were included and address the concerns of the more than 1,900 comments that were submitted during the comment period. I'd like to suggest that at one of your upcoming board meetings that you have a workshop that could be called something like Balancing Erosion Control, Flood Protection, and the Environment. You could invite representatives from the Corps, DWR, local, state, and federal agencies and non-government organizations that have expressed concerns on these projects, and through the CEQA and NEPA process, have a dialogue, ask questions, discuss alternatives, talk about compromises, talk about balance. So that being said, I invite all of you, and those here in person and those online, to come to Larchmont Community Park on Sunday, October 13th at 11:30 a.m. People from American River Trees, myself, neighbors, colleagues are going to share our concerns about the contracts and lead walking tours to show you the specific areas on the riverbank between Sarah Park and the Mayu Drain, describe the erosion control techniques proposed, and compare them to the modeled river velocities. We'll even have games for the kids, and we'll step it up a bit from the donuts, and we'll go for free hot dogs. And you'll even have a chance to win a real neato keen, state-of-the-art, biodegradable backpack that Nike and Nike and Coach and Gucci are already bidding on the rights to sell more of these. So I hope you can join us on October 13th. We will be sending out email invitations to that. And it's a chance to get up and close and know the river and get a good feeling for what we've been talking about. Thank you very much.
And that discussion? I thought you left. You're just. Okay, I should have asked. You had your order. So Nancy Nistern? Ms. Guston, are you next or is there someone else before? I'll just call on you two. Okay, I'll call on you to do that. All right.
Thank you.
Ms. Nistern, good morning.
Thank you. And I thank the board and President Dolan for hearing us and the gentle people. Last time I talked, it was about the Missouri River. And this time I'm going to tell you about what I learned from the Port of Baltimore.
Can you raise the mic a little bit?
I always have a problem with this. I'm just too short.
Just speak right into it.
Okay, but then I can't read.
I-
A radio station WAMU broadcast from the American University an interview with a news reporter and a retired admiral on March 26, 2024. It was distributed by NPR, and that is how I learned about it here in Sacramento. This segment was about the large container ship, the Dolly, crashing into the Francis Scott Key Bridge, thereby making the bridge and much of the Port of Baltimore unusable. Cargo ships had to be redirected to other ports. Since the 1980s, the cargo ships were being built to larger and the ports had to be expanded to accommodate them. The Dolly was 984 feet long as the Empire State Building is tall, or about 3 football fields long. Retired Coast Guard Admiral Richard Timmy explained that when a ship loses power, it no longer can control the rudder and they lose the ability to steer. In the interview, the Admiral was peppered with a variety of questions. How can this be mitigated? Why didn't the ship have pilots aboard? The harbor pilots that are used to guide ships in and out of ports safely have intimate knowledge of the ports, the winds, the waves, the currents, the cross traffic, what ships enter the port, and other details. There is a long history of using such pilots. They were used during the colonial days for safety of port and cargo. Admiral Timmy further explained that what mitigations are used depend on various characteristics of the port. They are all different: channel depth, width, winds, competing traffic, etc. They have a saying in the business: if you know one port, you know one port. That is why you cannot compare the Port of Houston with the Port of Baltimore. And I take that a little bit further and say that is why you cannot compare the Missouri River with the American River. So why, when a huge installation of erosion prevention methods are considered, a method utilized on the Missouri River would automatically be used on the American River? If you know one river, you know one river. We see this as a one-size-fits-all, and we think our river deserves more recognition when planning such an environmentally destructive method. One might consider something more fitting for this particular river. When you know one river, you know one river, and even that knowledge needs periodic updating. Thank you.
Do you want to leave your written statement with us? You have? Okay, thank you. Ms. Guston, who's next? Oh, is it you? Okay, I didn't know. I thought you were pointing at someone else.
Anything.
Good
I was
morning.
just
No,
having a little glitch, so
No, it's
sorry.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to comment today regarding the board's ongoing vital mission to designate floodways and to review the modernization of those floodways with the purpose of protecting public improvements and lives. TrueMark Development proposed a development to build year-round residences in the Central Valley Flood Protection Board American Rivers designated floodway located on their property in Sacramento. I understand that a variance is needed by you for this to occur. The City of Rancho Cordova responded to TrueMark Development in August of 2023, informing them that building in a floodway is inconsistent with the general plan. On August 15th, 2024, TrueMark Representative Linda C. Klein transmitted a response to the city's consistency review, claiming 1, the project is not in the floodplain because of independent dam improvements, and this will be reflected on the Lomar map update being processed by others, which will revise the flood profiles once the moratorium on Lomars is lifted, anticipated to occur in 2025. 2, in any event, the project meets all floodplain requirements. And 3, the project is intending to fill to the 200-year floodplain elevation. I have not received any notification from the Central Valley Flood Protection Board that a variance to build in a floodplain has been requested. I would like to know if staff have been in contact with anyone representing this project and whether their claims are accurate. My purpose today is to urge you to deny any variance to build structures for year-round human habitation through the import of fill in this designated floodway, and to enforce your regulatory prohibitions written in Government Code Section 65302 G2A through C and Title 23 California Code of Regulations Section 113B, prohibiting the construction of year-round dwellings within an adopted plan of flood control. This channel is needed for the flood protection of people, property, and flora and fauna of the American River Parkway. With billions of dollars spent on flood protection in our region and impending climate change predicting potential increased river channel capacity needs, this proposal is in the wrong direction for the protection of life, safety, and property in our region. The government officials have been stating that they want to protect 500,000 heads on pillows. It doesn't seem to be going in the right direction to then build more and put more heads on pillows in this area, this designated floodway, which also will then raise the floodway in that area so that doesn't provide relief, and also put in harm's way all the residential neighborhoods that are next to it, because they're planning on building higher elevation than that. So it seems illogical to me. And also, I know that the board needs to stay really neutral on everything, but anyone besides the board maybe would like to know. We also have fun too. We have a Family Fall Festival this Sunday, and this is where the people of Sacramento and Rancho Cordova are honoring and preserving the natural habitat of the American River Parkway for people and wildlife to thrive now and for generations to come. So do have free lunch and lots of great people who love this river, and you're welcome to come if it's possible. Okay, thank you.
That with us. Yeah, thank you. I keep that to you. Mr. Davenport? Give it all back to you. Grant Davenport. Good morning.
Get organized here. Hi, my name is Grant Davenport. I'm a licensed engineer in the state of California. I have a master's in hydrology and water resources. I'd like to address the CASIS development and the submittal in 2023 and some of the technical inaccuracies there, and also some of the false or incorrect statements that were made in the development's rebuttal to the city. So first, just to kind of give a basis, there are two sections of the property. One is the lower, one is the upper, that is currently in a mapped floodplain. Looking at web soil surveys, we see that it is marked as a reef sandy loam, which is a generally sandy material that is susceptible to erosion. We see these soils in geologic borings from the surface of the bluff down to the river. When we overlap these soils, it's a hydraulic soil group A, which is these sandy soils. When we overlay that with the FEMA flood maps, we see a high correlation between those two, HSGA and the special flood hazard areas. Just to kind of summarize, the CASIS property sits on the outside of the last bend of the American River prior to it straightening out as it flows west. The outside bend is where erosion is occurring and would occur during flood events. As the CASIS property is adjacent to the outside river bend, HSGA, the soil, is susceptible to erosion, and these soils are present from bluff to riverbank. The bluff is at elevated risk of erosion, significant erosion during 100 and 200-year flood events. Sorry. To specifically talk to the technical evaluation, the introduction states hydromodification mitigation of the flood control detention will not be required for this project. The hydromodification section states, due to the discharge location of the project directly into the American River, it is determined that the project will be exempt from hydromodification mitigation requirements. This is contracted by their detail in Exhibit 3A and 3B, which shows the lowest elevation of the outfall dissipator facility at 46 feet and the existing high water mark at 35 feet. So that is a drop of 11 feet that they're not accounting for. The report statement is false. In the section where they provide in the section where they evaluate outfall scour protection, they calculate the shear velocity as at the location of greatest velocity, which they identify within the dissipation device, rather than at the outfall from the outfall to the riverbank. In Appendix D, they include a connection in their model as link 10, but they choose not to evaluate scour from the riverbank to the riverbank, as that they have identified as a 32% slope. Providing additional outfall protection from the bluff to the river level would trigger hydromodification mitigation measures. Again, the report statement about the location of the outfall and the hydromodification requirements are not true. In a report and Cox's response to the city, They make incorrect or misleading statements. They say a portion of the property lies within the FEMA regulated floodway. However, no grading or sorry, one more. One more error that I found in their technical report was they determined they were evaluating the required bank protection. Their calculation doesn't seem to be correct. When I did my calculation, I calculated something that was 8 times as much as what they did. Even with their calculation, they hide it. They hide essentially the result by saying it's 1/1000th of a pound. But when you actually calculate the diameter of that rock, it's actually 1/4 of an inch, which is about the size of a pea gravel. My calculation left that rock diameter as about 1/2 an inch, which is a gravel. Again, the web soil survey identifies the slope as a fine sandy loam.
Are you close to wrapping up?
Sure. Sorry.
That would
I
be
should have
good.
run through this
Sounds
before.
like something we'll hear more about later.
Yeah, so essentially they're not accounting for, or they're choosing not to account for things in their report. They're misstating things. As the previous speaker also spoke, I'm not going to get to it here, but in their response to comments, they essentially lie and say that the project is not in a floodplain. It is in a floodplain. The floodplain hasn't been revised yet.
Mr. Davenport,
yeah.
we would be pleased to receive what you have.
Okay,
there in
maybe
writing.
I'll write something up and provide it.
That would be great.
All right, thank you.
We do pay attention to that input. Okay. Mr. Mark Berry? And that takes care of the cards that I have, and I'm gonna go to those other hands raised up online, and then we'll see if there's anyone else. Good morning, Mr. Berry.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Mark Berry. I'm president of the Tiffany Farms Homeowners Association in Rancho Cordova along the American River. In April 2023, members of our HOA made public comment to this board regarding the 1986 flood event that displaced floodwaters into our community from the adjoining Casa site designated floodway. On June 2023, a new TrueMark proposed project on the Casa site was submitted to the city of Rancho Cordova and requires board variance from prohibitions of building in the designated floodway. A bit of history here. In 2020, TrueMark obtained a Clomar F for a then proposed project of 114 units, omitting material information and obtaining that Clomar. In spring of 2021, public comments were made to this board that a variance for residential construction in the designated floodway was inconsistent with life and safety regulations in Title 23, Division 1, Sections 113 and 107. Then in November 2021, TrueMark withdrew its then proposed project from variance considerations. And in December 2022, TrueMark withdrew its then application from the city. This new June 2023 proposed project under the Affordable Housing Act now has 440 units, changed the grading and drainage, has a disjointed flood wall and other conditions not represented in the Clomar application. In October 2023, the city's response told TrueMark that this new project was inconsistent with city standards. Among them are 1, no fill in a floodplain, and 2, conditional use permit requirements must be met due to highly erosive soils. TrueMark responded that these were not enforceable standards. Not only is the TrueMark request for a variance inconsistent with city standards and board regulations, but the Clomar obtained in 2020 is 1, not the proposed project on which the LOMAR could be based, and 2, in 2021, the city now required an environmental impact report indicating that the Environmental Species Act compliance for the Clomar application is lacking. The city's October 2023 comments asked TrueMark if the board variance application was resubmitted with the revised lot layout. TrueMark responded, the board application is currently being reviewed by the board. Despite our request to be notified from the board about developments on the site, we have no new information. We respectfully request the board's scrutiny and review of this application, and we request to be informed of the actual status of the alleged pending variance application and be given the opportunity to respond. Thank you very much.
Received, thank you. If you have that in writing and want to leave it, that would acceptable to us as well.
I'll submit it in writing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll say at this point that the board received by email in the last few weeks, four comments that we've all received and consider them received. So hands up. Patrick Tully, Mr. Tully can be unmuted.
Great. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning, President Dolan and board members. Happy Friday. And thank you for your commitment to keeping the valley safe. I know this isn't an easy task. I will try to keep this brief. I am Patrick Tully, President of the Garden Highway Community Association. We represent the residents living along the levee on the Sacramento River, both waterside and landside. As you know, we are a long neighborhood, a vocal community, and we are river people. We know levees and flooding probably better than most. Many of us have lived on the water side of the levee for 25 plus years, and I'm sure there are many that will say even more. As you may recall, I spoke before you previously asking for a meeting between CVFPB, Army Corps, RD-1000, and us, GHCA. That meeting did subsequently happen at Annalisa's direction, and I think it was very beneficial. We met with your staff, the inspection staff, the Army Corps, and even RD-1000 representatives. So I thank you for this. I think that was awesome. The meeting was beneficial for all sides to hear from each other. I think the communication is great. The crux of the issue, at least in our mind, is the inspection, visibility, and access. In this meeting, we confirmed that the levee inspection for the Army Corps is a detailed process, as this board has seen many times in slides that are presented to you. It's boots on the ground, looking for small things, not possibly seen by a truck driving by. It is clear to us that the visibility rules in the O&M were about encroachments which made visibility impossible, like a briar patch, not privacy bushes that simply can be walked around or parked behind. In our meeting, RD-1000 stated that they don't have the manpower to do foot inspections. Yet it's a requirement by Army Corps, which resulting problems resulting from a lack of inspection would fall back on SAFCA and CVFPB to foot the bill. RD-1000 did do foot inspections for years. We all remember it. We got the notices. And simply viewed around our bushes or walked behind them. So burdening our members because a government agency doesn't have manpower is unfair. We ask that CVFPB, postpone these actions, send these complaints back to RD-1000 with a simple request. Walk around the bushes. On filled lots where you can't see the toe, this especially makes sense as the toe is not visible. And in fact, in many cases, you remove the bushes, you simply see a house. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. They're received. Do we have another hand up? Clerk says. Maggie Lou?
Yes.
Ms. Lou, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. And this is my first time, and I got a lot of information hearing everybody talking here. I'm very grateful I have this opportunity to express my feeling. I am, again, Maggie Lou, living on 2385 Garden Highway since 2003. when my son actually was born in the same year. So I bought the house 21 years ago, and I was a pregnant woman. Now he's a 21-year-old young man. So I've been living here very peacefully, happily as a single mom, and enjoying the levee, and enjoying the view of the river, and then enjoying the wildlife, and April of this year, 2024, when it's actually my son's 21-year birthday, I received a letter, a co-enforcement, was it a co-enforcement or just enforcement letter? And then surprisingly, shockingly saying that my front fence vegetation with no permit, it needs to be reassessed. And that was since April of this year. That has been emotionally stressed me out since I've been living here more than 20 years. And suddenly I realized it has to be done again. And the house was built probably over 40 years ago, and everything was pre-existing. And as a single mom, I didn't have the knowledge or resources to work on and a permit to rebuild this fence. But worstly is that RD 1000 require me to remove all the vegetations in the front. And of course, after we talked with the California Flood Protection Board many times, this issue is actually dropped. I think the vegetation is not an issue because it is visible. Once we trim the vegetation, it does not need to be fully removed as RD 1000 required. And then the fence that it was also built by code, and it was all good. But this how do I say, unwarning, without warning anything, suddenly send a enforcement letter to a civilian who lived on this private property for over 20 years. It sounds really unfair and bothers us. And as a government agency, I just wanted to express this to, my feeling as a single mother. And also I want to add it, RD 1000 did send agent and enter my house, which I volunteer welcome him to look around my house. And there's, the visibility part of their concern should not be an issue. If there's any like tree that's blocking or whatever, we trim the trees and then it will be opened up. So that was agreed, I thought, but then 6 months later, I received this co-enforcement certified letter from California Flood Protection Board. And I know that is because RD 1000 filed that complaint. But in summary, I hope now we have this chance to express my feeling, my worry, my stress, my concern, and I hope the board will postpone, delayed, like our Garden Highway Homeowner Association president and resident, they all expressed the concern, please look into this. And if this is, discuss more, and then if this is necessary enforcement, please drop the enforcement. Thank you very much.
Ms. Liu, we certainly have heard your remarks and comments. I see no other hands up. Is that correct? Anyone else? Oh, there is now? Okay, we've been doing this now for 45 minutes, so I think this will be it until the end of the meeting. What's the hand?
Hello?
We have Chris. Chris.
Yes.
Do you have a last name?
Carlino. Chris Carlino.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
You got
Thank you for
3
that.
minutes.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to address the pressing concern regarding the enforcement action related to our properties on Garden Highway.
Garden Highway.
I've lived on Garden Highway for 10 years and have experienced firsthand the impacts of flooding. I understand the importance of flood control and appreciate the efforts to maintain safety. However, the current enforcement actions are not only burdensome, but some to overlook practical realities. My landscape vegetation, which has been part of my property for 20 plus years, do not visibly obstruct for inspections. They provide essential security and privacy for which is important to my family and I. The new levee system, which is quite massive, renders these enforcement actions redundant and ineffective use of resources. The Army Corps of Engineers recommend detailed inspections on foot. So why not simply walk around the vegetation to conduct these inspections? Despite repeated requests to the RD 1000 has failed to provide specific details or conduct on-foot inspections. My yard is visible from the driveway and the vegetation do not impede the ability to see around them. My property was permitted and we have adhered to the guidelines set forth by the Army Corps of Engineers, which even endorse the vegetation on my property. We are not criminals. We are law-abiding citizens with jobs and responsibilities. The current enforcement actions are not just an inconvenience. They represent a regulatory taking our private property rights. The outdated Title 23 laws, which do not account for the new levee system, exacerbates this issue. We need regulations that reflect the current levee conditions, not those of the past. I urge the board to reconsider these enforcement actions for several reasons. Firstly, they waste taxpayer dollars and do not effectively address flood risk. Secondly, we need to delay these actions while we work with the Garden Highway Community Association to develop common sense solutions. Thirdly, RD 1000 has proven unresponsive and we need a more effective dialogue law to align with these new levee system and appeal process that is clearly outlined in writing. Thank you for your time and consideration. I hope we find a practical solution that represents both property rights and flood safety.
All right, thank you, sir. I'm going to call an end to public comment at this point. We need to do our agenda items. If there are folks who do want to do that, you can hang around until we're finished with our business. Item number 7 is legislative update. It is a written preparation by our executive officer. Do you have anything you wish to highlight, Mr. Leaf?
I have a couple of updates to the report since it was transmitted to the board. Firstly, on the on the bills of interest report, there are 2 bills there. The governor has acted on both of them. The governor vetoed AB 828 and signed AB 2975. Also, on the federal news update, a continuing resolution to keep the federal government through December 20th has passed, and so the federal government is funded for the next few months.
December 20th. So December, we'll be hearing all of those comments over. Okay. Anything else that the board members want? Member Johnson and then Member Butler. Oh, were you first? Okay, wait, ladies first. Sorry. Member Johnson, do you have a comment?
Thank you. The report describes a program for establishing or reframing maybe categorical permissions and says that their comments are due October 4th. And I'm wondering if we're submitting those and if there's anything you'd like to say about them and if they could be distributed once they are sent.
Yes, staff is working on reviewing and we intend to submit a comment letter which is due October 4th. The categorical permissions that South Pacific Division has outlined are very similar to what the Sacramento district already does. They're adding a couple of components for beach nourishment and seawalls, which don't really affect the board's programs. But we are looking at that and intend to submit comments. We will distribute those to the board.
I had the same question, so, but are we working in
Member
conjunction?
Bosler.
Yeah, with DWR on that, or is that that separate?
This is an independent effort.
We don't know if DWR is doing it as well, but but our staff is doing it on behalf of our organization.
Correct.
Well, there are three of us that had that question. Two got called upon before the president called on herself. Okay, we'll be interested in seeing those. And I did see that it was based on a pilot program in the Sacramento district, so it seemed to me that they were testing it now. We'd like to see it and the responses. So thank you. Any other board members want to raise a question or that? This is the legislative update report by our executive officer. Anyone in the audience want to raise a question or make a comment? I see no one standing or hands up. And no hands up online. So we'll move on. We'll take the inspection report. Mr. Dosu, you're going to introduce this. And when that's done, then I will call break. Almost did it after all the public comments, but. Member Johnson will just be gone for a bit. We always need to say that. Good morning, Zubair Dosu.
Good morning, President Dolan, Vice President of Alliance, members of the board. My name is Zubair Dosu, the manager of the board's deferred encroachment compliance section. I will also introduce Juan Gonzalez, who is the chief of the Corps' inspection section. Together, we will present the inspection results for RD1 and RD 2089 Union Island levee system. Also online with us today, we do have Tessa Merlo and Joseph Prescott from KSN. They are the district engineers for the Union Island levee system. No, they're actually online. And they are both welcome to give comments and answer questions as well.
I know that. I just needed to know if they were sitting here to be called online.
That was more so a note for Tessa and Joseph. All right, so looking at the vicinity map, we have the levee system shown here. The Union Island levee system is in San Joaquin County, north of Tracy, and it is located on Union Island in the Delta. RD1 segment is shown there in red. The RD 2089 segments are shown in blue. I'll now hand the presentation over to Juan, who will take you for a closer look into the levee system.
Good morning, Mr. Gonzalez.
Good morning, President Dolan. Good morning, members of the board. Thank you, Zipper. So we did coordinate a little bit to rearrange slides, so be patient with us if we have a little bit of a hiccup.
Well, if you take longer than an hour, we might not be patient. But we'll sit through it. Need a new slide? Mr. Gonzalez is like waving. Okay, there it is.
So this is a map that's zoomed in a little bit from what Zubair was showing. This is showing the levee system on Union Island. There are 3 federal segments within the island itself. This is located in San Joaquin County, as Zubair mentioned, and we inspected about 33.6 miles. This is the report card for the RD1 and RD 2089 Union Island system. They do currently have active status in the PL 849 rehabilitation program through an approved letter of intent. Some of the observations here that are unacceptable are under encroachments, slope stability, erosion, animal control, as well as depression and rutting. We'll go through some pictures here. Picture 1 and 2 are of the same observation. Number 2 is close up of where that person is standing. So what these are showing, there's a pipe through the levee. The pipe at the time of the inspection was leaking. There's clearly water coming out, pooling up in that photo 2, and then it was just kind of flowing out down the slope. My understanding is, I just learned this week that there's some remediation action going on, and I think Zubair is going to talk about that. Picture 3 is actually of a burrow. It's actually quite large. It's about 2 feet in diameter, and about 1 to 2 feet deep. So it's quite large. You can see from the perspective of that person's legs that, you know, it's quite large. Looks like a den.
Is that on the land side or the water side?
I believe this is on the water side.
Hmm.
Picture number 4 is of a pipe, and it looks like it's been damaged. It's got a hole on the right-hand side, possibly from some equipment. But obviously that's a weak point, allowing water through that pipe, even with a closure. I will hand over the presentation to Zubair.
For both of you gentlemen, we receive information with our agenda, and it has 4 pictures, 3 of which are different than what's up there. So 3
Right.
of what's up there is different than we
So
received.
if we
but
advance, maybe these photos look a little bit similar to your report.
One does.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we had to swap some of them
No,
out
Yeah,
because the
I know you
core.
took more than 4 photos, and they're demonstrative of issues for sure.
Yeah, we'd like to give you as many photos as possible.
I have enough.
All
Mr.
right.
Dotsu.
All right, thank you, Juan, for your presentation. The photos that you're looking at there are example photos of the items affecting eligibility. In total, there were 18 observations that were rated or identified as unacceptable through the Corps' inspection. The photo 1, top left corner, shows is the same location as photo 1 and photo 2 of the Corps' previous slide that Juan had mentioned, the erosion damage due to the leak in pipe. This is a more recent photo. It's taken at a slightly different angle, but as you can see, the erosion damage has been repaired as of last year. The pipe through the levee has been temporarily repaired as of last year as well. Yes, this is a more recent photo, as I mentioned, as of last year. So as of now, this pipe is currently has an active enforcement case, and enforcement staff, as of this week, this pipe will be removed and replaced through the levee as permitted. So it's no longer an issue. Moving on to photo 2, top right-hand corner. Here you have a photo that is reflective of 1 of 5 unacceptable observations relating to encroachments, and this is affecting eligibility. This photo here, photo 2, is showing a drain pipe, a pump drain irrigation pipe that is up and over through the levee. As you can see, there's a smaller pipe that is sleeved through the larger 10-inch pipe crossing the levee, and the annular void is not grouted. What you can't see in this photo is that there is actually a secondary pipe crossing. It's a 6-inch PVC pipe. It is exposed at both land side and water side. At time of inspection, the Corps noted excavations on both the water side and land side slope. This pipe is permitted. It is also in the O&M. It's actually a pipe that is in an active enforcement case, and enforcement staff has engaged with the landowner. They are currently working with the landowner to make the necessary corrective actions. Photo number 3, bottom left corner, shows one of 4 observations that were rated unacceptable relating to erosion and bank caving. As you can see, the water side hinge there is sloughing away, resulting into 18-inch to 2.5 feet vertical cuts in the levee there. This damage extended for approximately 250 feet. Lastly, we have photo 4, which is reflective of one of 4 unacceptable observations affecting eligibility for animal control. In that photo, I know it's a little dim, but there are 3 animal barrels on the water side levee there, approximately 6 inches to 8 inches in diameter. There were no animal burrowing associated with this burrowing on the land side. There's approximately 2 cubic feet of material that has been displaced from the levee at this location. This is a comparison report card from the Corps' 2015 inspection to the 2022 inspection. The areas improved along each levee segment are highlighted in green. For each levee segment, they improved in areas concerning flood preparedness and training, as well as vegetation growth. For the items affecting eligibility, the RD 2089 Unit 2 levee segment did improve in encroachments, as well as the RD 2089 Unit 1 and RD 1 segments did improve in erosion and bank caving. And for the RD 2089 Unit 1 segment, that segment did improve in animal control as well. And as Juan mentioned previously, this levee system is active in the PL 8499 program. They do have an approved letter of intent. They've recently submitted a draft SWIFT. And that will conclude my presentation. We do have district engineer online if they have any comments to add. But
I would ask you to
welcome any
identify.
questions.
Could you identify for us who is online and ask if they want to make a comment?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't have access to see who is attending online. So Joseph or Tessa, are you present?
Going once?
Joseph Prescott,
Do you have
Tessa
one?
Marlowe,
Do you have
or
someone
a
there?
representative from KSN.
Can you guys hear me?
Us
Yes, we
guys
can hear you, Joseph.
Yes. Who are you?
I'm sorry, it sounds like you guys didn't hear that first part. Joseph Prescott with KSN, representing RD1 and RD 2089.
Mr. Prescott. Good morning.
Good morning. No comment. I do know you guys mentioned the 33 miles. The federal portions of this system are about closer to 4 miles. We are currently working with the districts, specifically the smaller one, 2089, on raising the assessments. Budgets are a big concern in this district, but we are working with DWR currently with FMAP and FSRP in hopes to improve the levee system further, and appreciate you guys' report.
Thank you for that information, Mr. Prescott. Is there someone else?
No, that Joseph represents the district engineers.
Okay. Board members have any questions, comments to make? Vice President Lyons.
Thank you for the report.
Just real quick back, you don't have to move the slide, but on the last, on the column where it shows the green colors, the improvements, the last one had a U for, I think it was one of them, and you said there had been improvement. So how do we do that? Thank you. I think it was animal control on that last column. It's still a U, and then you'd said there's been improvement.
I see what you referring to. So yeah, if it was in a U, it's not going to be an improvement.
That's why I was trying to figure, okay, so I
Right.
must have heard the wrong thing.
So there was only one segment, and that was the RD 2089 Unit 1 segment that approved in animal control. The other two segments were unacceptable.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Is these,
Member Countryman.
yes, are these segments, what am I trying to say, utilizing the subventions program?
I forgot to check on that. So
They
Joe-
are.
Okay.
Mr. Prescott, was that a yes?
Yes, they are utilizing the subventions program.
Okay, that's great. That's your question, Mr. Countryman? Okay. Anyone else? Do you have a wrap-up, Mr. Dosu?
No, that concludes my presentation unless
Mr.
Juan has
Gonzalez?
anything to add.
Just point of clarification, Joseph pointed it out, I had 33 miles on my slide. It is about 4 miles. That was a typo on my part. President Dolan, you asked about that animal burrow on whether it was on the land side, water side.
Mhm.
I should have referred to my notes. It is on the land side, not on the water side. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Some of those photos are dramatic. And we appreciate representatives of the reclamation districts who are working on these issues. Any public comment on this matter? It's item 8, the Army Corps of Engineers inspection report for 2 reclamation districts in San Joaquin County. I see no one. Do we have any more hands up? Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to call a 10-minute break at this point. What? You already did. Well, I noticed, yeah. The board is reconvened. I think there might have been some comments there in recording that should be eliminated. Okay, we're back in session. President Dolan has called that back to order. And we are at board items. Number 9. 9A. Selva Samohan is presenting this? No? Who is? Oh, I jumped all the way to B. Apologize here. I did have enough copy. I should do better. Item 9A is permit number 19740, Union Pacific Railroad. Mr. Negrete. Good morning.
Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board. My name is Humberto Negrete. I'm with the permitting staff of the board. I will be presenting agenda item 9A, which is the Union Pacific bridge replacement project that crosses Pixley Slough. Union Pacific Railroad is seeking the board's authorization to remove an existing single-track railroad bridge that crosses Pixley Slough just north of the city of Stockton and replace it with an updated structure at the same location. The replacement bridge will be a single-span bridge. It will be longer and wider than the bridge that currently exists. And the new bridge will have erosion control riprap at the new abutments. The board has the following authority for the project at the location. The highlighted Title 23 sections are the most relevant to this project. The existing bridge was constructed in 1952 prior to the adoption of the flood control plan for the area, and the updated design does not meet one of the bridge standards, which requires a variance request to be approved by the board members, which I'll be presenting later. Following slides are to get an understanding of where the project is located. This location map shows the project just north of the city of Stockton. This vicinity map shows the existing Union Pacific Railroad line and its relative location to the Bear Creek Levee, which is located approximately 1.5 miles south of the project. There are no federal levees at the bridge location. Pixie Slough is the only stream that contributes to the flood flows at the location. This site map shows the existing conditions at the site. There is an existing at-grade crossing immediately south of the crossing. The existing rail line continues north where it goes under the existing 8-mile road vehicle bridge, located approximately 100 feet from the north bridge abutment. Staff's analysis of the existing conditions at the site include the current bridge consists of 3 spans with 2 in-channel bents, and it is 43 feet long timber structure that is currently unpermitted. The current freeboard of the site is less than 11 inches, and there are no levees at the location, but the board has easements. The board is also the non-federal sponsor at the location and regulates the encroachments along this federal channel, which underwent a federal review. The stream channel is also bounded by concrete flood walls upstream and downstream of the crossing. This site map shows the proposed conditions, including a temporary bridge along the west side. The purple shading are the proposed staging areas located within the Union Pacific right-of-way. The purple diagonal lines on the west represent a temporary work bridge with 3 yellow circles representing temporary support piles. The green diagonal lines represent the proposed bridge with 6 red circles representing the abutment support piles. The dark blue lines along the stream banks are the existing concrete flood walls located upstream and downstream of the bridge. This is staff's analysis of the proposed conditions at the site. The proposed replacement structure consists of a single span, 52-foot long concrete bridge. The new bridge deck will be 42 inches deep and 17 feet wide. Riprap for erosion control is also proposed at the new abutments. The proposed freeboard for the new structure will be less than 3 inches and includes no bends in the floodway. Therefore, a variance request was submitted for this design and will be discussed later. To analyze the impacts to the adopted plan of flood control due to the non-conforming design, a HEC-RAS model was developed. The hydraulic model parameters and results were presented in a technical memorandum prepared by Olson and are shown on this slide. The model utilized a 100-year and design flow of 710 cubic feet per second, which were the same in this case. The proposed low chord elevation is approximately 0.7 feet lower or 8.5 inches than the existing condition. There is a drop of approximately 0.0 feet or half an inch in the water surface elevation in the proposed conditions. There is also a reduction in the flood velocity of approximately 0.7 feet per second for the proposed conditions. The reductions in the water surface elevation and velocity is attributed to the removal of the in-water bends and a wider channel. Board staff's analysis of the hydraulic analysis included the post-project conditions result in a slight increase in the hydraulic conveyance, even with the lower chord elevation. Scour analysis also showed no expected adverse impacts due to scour at the abutments resulting from no bends in the floodway and a lowered flow velocity. Riprap for erosion control and abutment wing walls will add to the protection due to scour. The temporary work bridge was not included in the analysis as no work is expected during the flood season. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers hydraulics also reviewed the project and determined no adverse impacts. The geotechnical investigation was not required for the proposed project because the proposed encroachments are located adjacent to a federal channel with no levees. Additionally, the encroachment is a sufficient distance to have no potential adverse impacts to the Bear Creek levee. The proposed replacement bridge design with the existing features overlaid are shown in this slide. The existing low chord of 22.65 feet and the proposed low chord of 21.96 feet are highlighted in yellow. Due to the lower proposed bridge chord, the design does not meet a board standard for a replacement railroad bridge. Due to the concerns for potential debris loading, the design did not qualify for a waiver to the standard. Board staff's analysis of the variance request included the following. The single span design needs steeper girders for the bridge, causing a lower bridge course than the existing, which does not meet Title 23, Section 128A 16, the standard for the replacement railroad bridge, which states that a replacement railroad bridge's low chord elevation cannot be lower than the existing bridge low chord elevation. However, the same standard does specify that railroad bridges are not required to have a specified amount of clearance above the design floodplain. The removal of the in-channel bends creates a potential to pass larger debris, but can still create a blockage of floating debris, which can redirect flows towards the stream banks. Union Pacific Railroad submitted the variance request shown, stating that meeting the standard would be infeasible due to the grade constraints associated with railroads. The existing at-grade crossing just south of the crossing and the existing overhead bridge north of the crossing further adds to the constraints in this case. They also reference the increased hydraulic conveyance of removing the in-water bends. To meet the low chord standard, an increase in abutment fill within the stream channel would be necessary, causing more channel conveyance blockage. The intent of the standard is to not create a greater potential for debris blocking during high water events than the existing conditions. The following is a board staff's review and recommendation of the variance request. Board staff agrees that the post-project conditions result in a higher flood flow conveyance, but the debris accumulation concerns remain. To mitigate the debris loading concerns, Union Pacific Railroad has agreed to submit an emergency action plan, or EAP, to be implemented by the contractor doing construction, and a long-term EAP to be implemented after construction and will be included as a permit condition. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers review also did not object to the lower chord design. Therefore, board staff recommends that the board approve the variance and the permit. As previously said, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers conducted their review of the impacts to the Pixie Slough Channel and determined that the post-project conditions would not be injurious to the public works. The review accumulated with the letter of permission that will be incorporated into the issued permit. Board environmental staff reviewed the CEQA compliance for the project and found that the project is exempt in this case. Based on staff's analysis of the proposed project, it is recommended that the board take the following actions. Adopt the CEQA findings, approve the variance to board standard 128A16 and the permit as provided in the staff report, and direct the EO to file the notice of exemption with the state clearinghouse. That concludes my presentation. I am happy to answer any questions regarding board staff's findings.
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Negrete. Do board members have any questions for staff? Looking to my right, looking to my left. Any comments from our audience, which looks like all staff? Two consultants. Anyone online? No hands up online. The action that is requested of the board is to adopt the CEQA findings. I'm not going to read the whole paragraphs because it's already been done. To approve the variance of the code of regulations with the findings and to direct the executive officer to take actions to execute the permit. Is there a motion to approve the actions recommended?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommended action.
Motion by member Grego. Is there a second?
I'm happy to second that.
Second by One more attempt. Any questions? Questions? Roll call, please.
Member Andrews,
Aye.
Member Bosler,
Aye.
Griego, Member Countryman,
Aye.
Secretary Johnson, Vice President Valiance,
Aye.
President Dolan.
Yes. I didn't hear Member Grego, did you? Yes. Nodding there, okay. I was the only one that said yes. I said yes. Northern California, folks stick together. The motion is carried by unanimous vote.
Thank you very much.
7-29. Thank you very much. You're all feeling better, huh? Next item 9B is an informational briefing regarding permit applications in progress for the Governor's Middle Mile Broadband Initiative. Now I have the right person, Selva Salam Mohan. Sorry, I was jumping ahead to you because I think the action that you're all doing on this is amazing. So I wanted you to let us know.
Good morning, President Dolan, Vice President Reliance, members of the board. My name is Selva Mohan. I'm the manager of the Sacramento levy section. And I'm here today to present the informational briefing on the permit application progress update for the Governor's Middle Mile Broadband Initiative project. And this is again an informational briefing or monthly standing item. Here's the presentation outline, which starts with showing a project map, and then I will highlight the current status of where we are in terms of processing the permit applications, and we'll highlight what changed from last presentation we had in the last August board meeting, and then the items that we have in the pipeline for near future. Here's a project map showing the fiber network across the whole state of California, and the black lines show the proposed fiber optic network lines, and the blue shaded area shows the regulated streams.
Wow.
So here's a geographical view of status of permit applications as of today. The green boxes show the permits have been issued, for the fiber optic lines. As you can see, there are quite a lot of, green boxes. So I will show where we are in terms of numbers in the next slide. So here's a summary of applications where we are in terms of the permitting process. So we have fiber optic line permits, which are shown in the green highlighted column. And then there are few associated bridges and culverts that were unpermitted, and now we are processing those applications thanks to the board resolution approved in the August board meeting. So when it comes to fiber optic lines, we received 24 applications, and they have withdrawn 5 applications, and we have issued 19 applications. So we are happy to highlight that 100% of completion of the received application so far. Bridges applications, as I said, we have initiated the processing of the application process after the resolution passed in the August board meeting, and culverts are also, being processed similarly. So overall, the last column in the table shows, where we are in terms of application received, withdrawn, issued, under process. So what changed from the last board meeting? We have issued 2 fiber optic line permits. That brings us to the 100% completion of the received application so far. We have issued 1 existing culvert permit that was impacted by the project. We have scheduled 3 existing bridge permits for September executive officer delegation. Again, thanks to the board resolution 2024-08. Just wanted to point out that we have not received any new applications since July 8 of 2024. It's been about 2.5-3 months. Yes.
When you have culverts, could you explain what's involved in issuing the permit for the culverts?
So when a fiber optic line typically travels along a bridge or under a culvert and in certain situations the culverts were unpermitted, so there's a need for us to establish the permit, to assign responsibility so it can be maintained and operated. So here in this slide, I just wanted to highlight some recent developments when it comes to funding and project scope changes with respect to this project. The Middle Mile Broadband Initiative project team informed board staff in August that the overall, scope has been reduced. So we are waiting to hear more information from the team. The scope have changed. So the scope has changed, and then what that means is the funding through the interagency agreement, will also be reduced by about 85%. So we are still waiting for more information to hear what actually changes. So upon, we received the updated scope of work from Middle Mile Broadband project team, we are planning to amend the interagency agreement. So it's a little bit of, waiting, in the time being. So next steps, we will continue to coordinate with Caltrans and CDT regarding permit applications supporting the initiative project. We'll continue to process the unpermitted bridge applications and culverts impacted by the project, and will provide informational briefing as needed on the progress of the project applications. That concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any information as to why there have been no new permits submitted since July?
No, we don't have any new information. We are just waiting, and there is some coordination going on with CDT and Caltrans, but at this point, we don't have any information.
Thank you for that presentation. I know this work is going on, and I think someone just said, why do we need to talk about this? Because no one in the public knows that we are doing a good job making sure that this broadband extension is occurring by moving the permits forward. So I appreciate the update. Board members, Member Bosler.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say kudos to the team for taking an inherently inflexible process and figuring out how to deal with this this workload. And I'm just wondering if you all have seen any lessons learned or things that we can apply to other aspects of our permitting.
So when we started receiving the applications last September, it took us about 6 to 8 months to process, applications. We have to go back and forth with the applicant to make sure they are submitting a complete package. Since then, we have been working closely with one applicant, which is Caltrans and CDT, so it was easy for us. Teaching them, how to, correct the applications. And as we move forward, starting March, April timeline, it took us only 4 months to, complete the full process. So working with an applicant, close communication, coordination helped us really well. That helped really because it's only one applicant. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any board members, anyone in the audience, any hands up? Okay, appreciate that very much. Thanks. Member Countryman said, great to see 100%. Item 9C is an informational briefing, and I'm going to leave the whole introduction of that to board staff, Michael Delazzo.
Good morning, President
Yes,
Dolan
so, good
and
morning.
members of the board. My name is Mike Solazzo, and I'm a senior engineer with the board's Flood System Improvement Branch. I'll be presenting item 9C, which is an informational briefing on the Site 11 project for the Mid-Valley Phase 3 Levee Reconstruction Project, and we're permitting this under application number 19689. So this is an informational briefing. Briefing is not a permit approval briefing. There's no action required of the board. Just want to inform the board of the status of the project's review, both for the board staff side and the Army Corps side. With me also is Nicole Ortega Jewell from MBK Engineers, um, representing Yolo County, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have at the end of the presentation. It should be a pretty quick one. Okay, so permit 19689 is for the Site 11 project. It's consisting of about a mile long drain stability berm and a half a mile, a little over half a mile long seepage berm, which is adjacent to the stability berm, and you'll see a figure later on what that might look like. There's also some ramp reconstruction in there. The project requires some relocations of 2 irrigation pipelines that we're going to be permitting under separate permits. Those are permitted encroachments that we're going to ask the board to consider approval when this 19689 project comes before the board. There are also some other PG&E poles and towers being relocated separately. This is a map showing Yolo County, beautiful Yolo County. And the project is located just south of Knights Landing. There's a little red circle towards the center right of the figure along the Sacramento River, just north of the Fremont Weir. And so this site is a little bit closer look at the Knights Landing area. There are several projects going on, either in the planning, design, or construction stages, and I'll briefly give a brief overview of those. On the left side, segment A, the board received an application for some levee reconstruction work on, I believe, the left side to improve the levee geometry along the Knights Landing ridge cut. Moving off to the right, we have segment C, which is about a 3-mile stretch along the Sacramento River. West levee is going to be seepage stability berms, I believe, shallow and deep cutoff walls. And we are currently reviewing that under a permit, and we also have a minor alteration to include borings, about 25, there's 13 borings, 12 CPTs in that area to inform the design. But today's presentation is focusing on segment F, which is on the bottom of the screen, except for a smaller portion on the northern tip of that segment. That's where the seepage and stability berms is going to be located. And then segments D and E on our permit 19615, the board previously approved that permit for sites 9 and 10, cut off walls, and those were constructed, and we are completing the O&M revision process with the Army Corps right now. And the 2 projects that we have, segments A and segment C, we're trying to get those to be constructed in 2026. Here's a close-up of site 11 under permit 19689. The stability berm is that red line adjacent to the existing levee, and then the yellow line is the seepage berm, which is adjacent, just built on top, or just to the land side of the stability berm. And so this is a little bit of background of the project. In 1987, the Army Corps received authorization to conduct a study of the Sacramento River system after some severe storms and floods, and the Army Corps issued a design memo in 1996. As a result of that system-wide analysis, and presented some design recommendations for Site 11. The board and the Army Corps entered into a project cooperation agreement in 2000, and as well, there was a local project cooperation agreement with Yolo County. And there's a final design documentation report prepared by the Army Corps in 2012, which provided the design for Site 11. And then in 2022, some time had elapsed. There was something with the project cooperation agreement that did not include in-kind contribution credits provisions. So Yolo County decided to go with a Section 4A request for a couple years ago. In March, we received their application. The board issued or approved statements of no objection in April 2022 and May 2023. And the project is currently waiting on the Army Corps' notice of complete submittal, which should be, or we expect to be received in October, so next month. So this is that cross section I was trying to refer to about what the proposed project might look like. The existing project is outlined in red. That's the existing levee. It was built around 1946. It has some levee geometry deficiencies. In the 80s and 90s, it received quite a bit of flooding and some damages were experienced. And I think Yolo County had to go out and sandbag a few boils in 87, I believe. And the proposed project is consistent with the Central Valley Flood Protection Plan 2022 update to allow for improvements to levee geometry through reconstruction for these rural communities. And so here's what that proposed project looks like. It's in the blue. It's just extending the levee prism geometry by building a drain stability berm, extending the crown 14 feet, and then a seepage berm about 5 feet thick at the levee toe, tapering down to about 3 feet on top of some filter material. And that proposed project will address the through seepage. The stability berm is addressing through seepage, and the seepage berm is being proposed for under seepage. And so this slide shows the board's status and the board's work and for complying with Title 23. So whenever we receive an application, we conduct completeness reviews and compliance reviews. So in Title 23, Section 8, the project proponent, Yolo County, provided everything that was required for the application. Board staff conducted a review of all that information and consistent with standards for Title 23 for levies and other encroachments. And all those boxes have been checked. The California Environmental Quality Act compliance has been achieved through Yolo County Yolo County as a lead agency certifying the initial study mitigated negative declaration in February 2022, and there's the state clearinghouse number. And so right now, the Army Corps Section 4.8 review is in progress. And the next slide shows those requirements for a complete 4.8 request. As I mentioned before, the statements of no objection have been received. We provided the Army Corps with a project description, technical analysis, and the only thing we're waiting on is environmental compliance. Army Corps is reviewing final comments on a supplemental environmental assessment. And once that's complete, we should have the notice of complete submittal. When that happens, we expect to come back to the board for approval of those permits for Site 11 as well as those relocations. That could be in October, November timeframe, and we'll do that as a hearing. That's when the board will take action. Then once that hearing takes place, we'll be waiting for the letter of permission for the Army Corps, which Army Corps has 90 days generally to issue that letter of permission to the board. So that could happen anytime at the end of this year into next year. But once the board receives the letter of permission, we want to have that permit approved conditionally upon the receipt of that. We want to have that permit ready so that we can issue that to Yolo County so they can begin construction. You'll notice the time frame there is right in the middle of flood season, so we're going to take that into account as well. And this process is all part of our staff's process improvements pilot program, where we're trying to improve streamlining, taking those recommendations that we've received in prior workshops into account regarding statements of no objection, conditional approvals of permits, so that we can get these much needed projects on the ground. With that, Nicole and I are happy to answer any questions.
The project applicant is Yolo County?
Yes. It's
memo
Yolo
that-
County Community Service Area 6, I believe.
Okay. And the memo that came with our printed agenda said that the Corps would complete its review of submitted documents in September, but I guess it's October,
Off by a month.
unless it shows up Monday morning. Okay. And then it also says that this is a pilot project for streamlining the permitting for these projects. And the
Right.
streamlining comes from what action? Because this has been going on for a while.
So I believe it was in an August workshop where the California Central Valley Flood Control Association had expressed some great thoughts and ideas about ways we can improve our process or in trying to take those into account. And this is one of our first attempts to try to implement whatever we can for that.
Okay, we'll keep doing that. Thank you for the photos. They were certainly better than the one that came with the agenda itself. Yeah, my magnifying glass to find out where this was. And thank you for the north arrow on the maps. Questions or comments, input from the board? Member Grego?
Yes, I'd just like to thank you for your presentation and, recognizing that this is a rural part of the county, the project is rural and, looking at the project background, it started in 1987, which was the year after high water in 1986. I remember that very well, especially for that particular area. And I did the math. It's like we're already on 37 years now, and there's been a lot of work done. There's no denying that, but these projects shouldn't take almost 40 years, and it continues. And so no disregard to anybody here in our staff. And it's just that we just need to improve upon the efficiency and the streamlining process. We need to continue urging, our partners that we need to get these projects done. So thank you for providing all this information and the progress that's been made along the time. And we'll wait to see the rest of this project come before this board for action. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So this started the year I was married. I know you all wanted to know that. So now I know how many anniversaries I've had. I think the other thing we need to do is really accelerate the process of funding. And recommendations are all.
Nicole Ortega-Jewell, MBK Engineers. Funding is secure for implementation on
It
this.
is for this. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's just
and
like-
all the other pieces. So Yolo County, so the design is being funded under Small Communities Flood Risk Reduction Program. There was $15 million awarded for that, and to construct 9 and 10. And then Yolo County was able to secure through Protect California and hazardous mitigation grant, which the local shares all borne by the state Cal OES. And so they're in the first phase of design. So it's to finalize design, do the permitting, and do any land acquisition. And once that phase is complete, it's about $34 million for construction.
Well, kudos to the county for piecing together all of those parts of funding to do that. These are interesting. And as soon as you said land acquisition, I knew that takes a little time as well. That's good. Thanks. You have a wrap up?
I just want to thank Nicole and her team and thank the board for its time. Any other further questions or comments?
Well, you're welcome for our time. It is our job. I really appreciate that staff has created these informational briefings before because it has a more of a informal kind of back and forth for what the questions are than the formality of a hearing, which allows us to give our input and make things better. That's what we like to do. So thanks for that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Move on. Thank you for that. I am to ask if there's any public comment. I asked before anyone here wants to talk, but I'll say the words. Any public comment? Megan Nagy. I was wondering if you just were here or if you were truly going to talk to us. So I'm always happy to hear from you. And it's still morning.
Good morning, President Dolan, members of the board. Megan Nagy from RD 108 and the Knights Landing Ridge Drainage District. On behalf and Vice President of the Flood Control Association. On behalf of the Flood Control Association, I just want to thank staff for taking those recommendations that we've worked on over the past couple of years in this pilot program to move these permits forward ahead of the core permit. It does make a big difference.
to be able to get to construction in a timely manner. So thank you. This, I think, is the first one. I'm looking forward to getting that process underway. And then also from just Knights Landing, this is a really important project. We are neighbors in this basin, so we're responsible for the Knights Landing Ridge Cut. And so just want to express our support for this important project. As you saw, it's a long time coming. And this is, I think, the final phase of the Mid-Valley project in the Knights Landing Basin. We constructed one, sites 9 and 10. And so once this is constructed, the recommendations from 1987 will be built. All right, that's it. I know, right?
Yeah, it's still faster than Hamilton City, so congratulations to you all. And thanks for the kudos to staff. And we truly appreciate the partnership with the Flood Control Association. It's a good back and forth. Member Bosler.
I just have a ask of staff, on this pilot project, if we can do, really document the process, obviously, and then report back, and then hopefully we can move more projects through this. I think we've heard this commentary multiple times about the benefits of being able to work through both processes at the same time. And obviously we can only control what we can control here at the state. We don't have control over the Army Corps of Engineers. So this to me just seems like a way in which we can help the field move projects along in a good way. I mean, I completely associate my comments with Mary Jane. I will not say anything more.
Board Member Balzer, yes, that's a good point. We're going to document it. We do have a few projects that we're working on that we can also apply the lessons learned from this situation too. So no shortage of projects.
Great minds think alike. She asked for something that you're already doing. That's the best answer possible. Good. Thanks for, yeah, that was great.
I just say why, because I feel like sometimes in government, we do processes, we do try something special, and then we just go back to the old one, and because staff turnover and people retire, and then people are like, oh no, we never did that. And it's something I've seen before. And so it's really nice to try and figure out how to make something have more permanency, a reform, a change. And so it's not necessarily staff dependent, but it's part of our systems.
Are you encouraging Member Johnson to talk as well? Okay.
Discussing an agency that we both know that maybe.
Oh, we all know those. We all can pick at least one. Okay. That's it.
Thank you.
Very much. Did I not ask for public comment?
No, you did.
We set this up so the clerk pokes me if there's someone online. And I didn't get poked, so there's no one online for this one. Done. We're done with you today.
Okay.
You'll be back. I'm trying for a little decorum here, Mr. Lee. It's not working. Item 10, we received a written report of monthly activities from the Department of Water Resources. We appreciate receiving these at each monthly meeting, but I understand no one's to be here, but I'll ask. I don't see a DWR person in the audience. And no one has their hand up. It's a very shy organization. Okay, thanks for that. I think we picked up a little steam here, team. Our morning was interesting. So now we're at item 11, correct? Okay, helping me out there, Mr. Leaf. We have staff reports of the activities of the division or branch. We have the administrative highlights. We have the operations branch. And because they're shy, but they do present really good information, I just wanted to put out that we do hear information on permits. We have permits that are approved on consent. We have permit today that was approved with the hearing. There also are a number of permits that are done through the executive officer process. And those are posted on the website, but we don't always receive a specific report of the number there. So I just wanted to say that those, there were 22 in July, 19 in August, and 81 year to date that went through that process, that were not 81 hearings at the board. So good job. Wanted to let people know we do something more than have a board meeting, and our staff does an excellent job on that. Flood System Improvement Branch report, and the longest title of a branch. It's a division. That's why it has a long title. Natural Resources Management and Planning. And I see Mr. Silva. There's a smile. It's going well, right? Yeah. Can hire a few more people. Any comments on any of those reports, board members? Member Bosler?
Just on the executive staff and administrative division, I didn't see any discussion about the finance letter around the reductions. And I just was wondering what the status of that is, the across the board reductions.
Actually ignoring it, no. Mr. Leaf, it's like, no, we have a vacant position and we need to fill it, but.
We have responded to the drill. Finance is still reviewing the information and it's not yet approved. We will be losing at least a couple of positions and the associated funding and some funding on top of that as well.
But in that submission, is there an opportunity to really, I mean, because this, I think it's been well documented how large our backlogs are. And I'm just wondering, like, hopefully we're able to provide some service reduction impacts from this cut to inform it.
We maximize the exclusions that were allowed by finance. And we did make the case that we have critically important programs that we run.
Well, I hope we'll have a little bit of good news. Because most of the news about the budget's not. Okay, anyone else? Member Countryman? I thought you were just pointing, Member Bowser, but you do have some, Mr. Country.
Okay. We have a very important project that is at a critical stage right now at Folsom Dam. The raise that's going on there and the removal of the existing 53-foot high Tainer gates on Folsom Dam and replacing them with the top seal gates, which would allow greater surcharge in the reservoir, which in effect provides something close to 500-year level of protection for Sacramento once that project's complete. And they currently in the report that was presented that mentioned there's a proof of concept stage that they're in. They're going to remove one gate at a time and replace it and so forth. I don't know when the right time is, but I would personally like to have a field trip up there to see that the work that's going on there, and also the dam raises of the dikes upstream of the dam that are going on. It's a hugely significant project, and I think it'd just be well for the board to know what's going on there.
Let it be so. Mr. Leaf, etc. I saw some nods going on here. So thank you, Mr. Countryman. I'm sure that will have its complications, but we'll figure it out. And I have my own hard hat, so you don't have to worry about me. Okay, anyone else? Audience? Does the public online or in the audience wish to raise any question or have a comment on these reports from our branches and divisions? Okay, we're moving on to item 10, board comments, board member activities, upcoming reports. I'm going to go to board activities first, and I'm going to ask those who are able to go to the Lookout Slough Levee Breach to share their experience. Anybody got any photos? We'll start here. You didn't get to go? Member Andrews, you were there?
I was there. It was an extraordinarily exciting day. Whenever there is a levee breach, it's an exciting day, an intentional levee breach for a project. Yes. Well, it's exciting whether it's intentional or not, but it's nice to be there if it's intentional. I had an opportunity to play a small role on the project, which is what led to my being there. And I have to say it was a enormously exhilarating experience to see all of the people present, all of the players that were involved in making that project happen. And then to watch as those first waters flowed out onto the 3,400 acre site for the first time in 100 years, floodplain, tidal wetland inundation of that property. I got an updated photo. I will say the Department of Water Resources did a wonderful job documenting things. I'm sure there were other parties involved. I'm sure EIP documented as well, but the department's website has a lot of visual collateral that's very impressive. And I saw an image from the second day or the second breach, and there was a video panning across the site, and it was impressive to see that water had really reached most of the area with just 2 out of 9 breaches. There was to be 16 days of breaching action required to get all 9 breaches in place, so that's still ongoing. But by the end of the first week of October, that part of the project should be completed. So it was an honor to be there, with 2 other board members, Member Johnson, Member Countryman, both there. And I welcome their comments as well.
Thanks for highlighting that. There's really a lot of video and photos on the DWR website. They're great. I wanted to be in the kayak going through, but I wasn't even able to be there at all. Member Johnson?
Thank you. And thank you for that summary. That's great. A couple things I would also mention. I do have video of Chris Cornell going through on a kayak. If yeah, it's on my LinkedIn, and the photos are very good. One thing I'll note also, there was a lot of discussion about how, even though I'm sure everybody involved can think of ways to do it better and faster, that in the compared to a lot of other large projects of this size, it went relatively quickly, and maybe attributable to not just the level of attention to it, but the nature of the public-private partnership that went into it, and contracting mechanisms and everything that go along with that. And so I'm hopeful that there are things that we can learn from there and replicate and continue to improve the pace of change. And very, very, very importantly, I want to note also that while I was there, 2 different project partners sought me out, pulled me off to the side to compliment our staff for their work on this project, and said, the level of professionalism, preparedness, responsiveness, overall capacity was really great to behold. And they didn't name names, but they said if all of the agencies that we work with did it this way, the world would be a better place. And called out Greg Harvey and Mike Salazzo in particular. And I know that's not for to the exclusion of other staff, but it was really nice to hear. Not surprising to me, but also still great to hear.
Thank you very much for bringing that forward, and your thoughts on how we can learn from this, but also acknowledging our staff's part of this. And we had a good time with our board meeting adopting it as well. Mr. Countryman, you were there?
I was also there and it was amazing to see the breadth of the coordination and cooperation that brought this project together. And areas that were maybe previously at loggerheads, you might say sometimes with fish and wildlife and so forth, but no, it was a real combined effort that was going on there, and it was great to see. And I also realized that we're in the years of the drone. They had 3 drones in the air filming, four drones. I missed one of them, sorry. Well documenting the breaches there. So it was a great experience. I appreciate the opportunity to be there.
Well, there is some usefulness for drones. That's the best way to show something of this size and breadth. Thank you. We had some staff there as well, Mr. Leaf. I'm still looking at that photo you sent me to find your head.
There were a lot of people there. Mike Salazzo was there, Greg Harvey was there, Michael Wright was there, Andrew Buckley was there. Am I saying it? That's it.
Did you get a group photo when you was there?
Did not.
Next time. You right? Comment?
Michael Wright, Chief Engineer for the board. Nothing more to add than what's been said. It was impressive seeing the excavator that was there, and it only took I think 3 or 4 scoops to fill up the dump truck, and then the dump truck would have to go away and come back. So it took a couple of those before the water started to flow, but that was impressive, you know, as an engineer.
Even for the non-engineers, but thank you for that. Mr. Harvey, you were there? Mr. Salazzo is still here.
Greg Harvey, Flood System Improvement Branch Manager. Yeah, I was
Where are you
just
people?
echo everything, you know, board member Countryman was very excited about the breach, and the other board members. I wanted to just add on a little something to what board member Valines had said. I did work with David Urban and the ecosystem investment partners very closely, and that was very nice to hear. But I also, since I have the podium now, I wanted to recognize Jamie. He also was a big part of this, and Mr. Jamie Silva, he has, all the breaches that Betty was talking about, one of the little sloughs in there, they all have names, and Jamie has one of the sloughs is named after him. So, yeah. So it was definitely a team effort, and Mike Salazzo, my staff, did a lot too. So it was very exciting to see the breach. That was an impressive project. So thank you.
Oh, that was cute. Thank you.
And that's who I missed. Jamie was there as well.
You meant to say that. Mr. Silva, did you want to say anything more? Is there going to be a little sign at your breach? Is it the Jamie breach or the Silva breach? Yay.
Jamie Silva, board staff. No, I think everyone kind of said it very well. My slough is on Vogel, so it's not on the main property of Lookout Slough, but it was well appreciated from EIP to recognize all of the team that worked on the project. So.
Okay, thanks.
If I may
Board
make one
members?
addendum, it is simply re-emphasizing about the speed with which that project was implemented, designed, permitted, implemented. It was 6 years from contracting by the department to the breaching ceremony. And it is certainly the largest tidal wetland restoration project in the state and possibly the largest restoration project in the state. And to be able to accomplish that on that timeline, I mean, we've been hearing about other projects. I mean, even Yes, many, many years. So I think there is a lot of information to be gained from understanding what worked well there, because a lot of things did work well.
Here, here. Ms. Buckley, you were there.
I was Andrea Buckley, Deputy Executive Officer. I do want to echo the sentiment about the public-private partnerships and how well that can work. We've seen that in various places over the system, Yuba Goldfields in this location. It's a model we would like to see more of and strive to make those connections and build those relationships and change the rigid nature of the state contracting process that we currently have and get creative in some of those ideas. So we're very happy to see those and encourage more.
I missed out, but I can see all the video. Thank you all. Anyone else want to offer anything on that in the room, online? I just wanted to talk because I wanted to hear about all of that. So thank you very much. Any other board members want to bring their activities up? Member Grego? Yes. Had a big deal
Thank you.
yesterday.
So it was brought to my attention that Yuba County and Trilla separately were putting together ordinances as it relates to activities in the setback area on the Feather River. And so I contacted them when I heard about this and asked them to kind of include us in, because we have so much state property out there. I knew that we needed to be informed about what the action entailed, how it impacted state lands out there. And so basically the issue was this, is that there was a lot of activity out there with off-road vehicles. Gray's Beach was crowded, I mean, with people driving their vehicles right to the edge of the water and not allowing the public to really participate there at the beach. And so they were stopping all this. There was no off-road vehicles. There's nobody to be out there at night. They were going to patrol and start issuing tickets. And so I asked them if they would meet with us and we could sit down and maybe plan to how we address these issues, since there's such a big state issue or appearance, out there. And so this was at the setback levee of the Feather River. And so I want to thank our staff, Andrea Buckley and Jamie Silva and Patrick Nolan, for coming with me yesterday. We had an advanced tour by one of the local residents who really knows the area very well before the meeting yesterday. So they had an idea of what this all looks like and really what we need to do together collectively in order to address this issue, because we do want people out there in public lands. We want them to have that recreational opportunity to visit wildlife or see the birds and the habitat out there, or to fish. You know, there's great opportunities out there, and we really haven't taken advantage of that. And so we went to the water agency and attended, in attendance was the sheriff's department, the county, Three Rivers, the water agency, and we walked away with a better understanding of each other's position. And I believe that through that conversation, we're going to have many more conversations. The water agency is willing to put up the money with Three Rivers to do a plan, contract with somebody to actually do a recreational plan out there, and that involves the Three Rivers property and potentially state property. So there might be some action that comes before this board in regards to that. But I think really the big part of it was the communication that we opened up, the dialogue that we opened up between the state, the locals, and the agencies at the local level, to have a better, when we share property in a certain area, that we have this kind of communications with them in order to get more effective and streamlining things done on behalf of the public. So I'm looking forward to more discussions and keep bringing you updates on what's going on there, because I think if we can do this in Yuba County, we can actually do this anywhere. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for your leadership bringing that together. Member Countryman?
I just want to comment on her comment. You know, the off-road vehicles are a major problem for the levee system. And it'll be very, very interesting to see what can do there. Maybe we can use it in other locations or something like that, because there's certain, people, maybe young people don't understand what the levees are for, that are running these off-road vehicles all over them, tearing the levees up and causing all kinds of damage to them. So it's an issue that's well worth following up on.
Through the chair, Mary Jane Grego, you're absolutely right. They create ruts. They ruin these public safety, infrastructure. And we hope that through good communication and education out there, that we're going to be able to at least temper it, so that it's not as much. And with the winter coming, I think we have an opportunity to kind of really work on this issue out there. So more to come on this.
We can count on Member Grego to have more to come. County supervisors know how to do things. Any other activities from board members? I know that was self-serving. I understood that. Oh, I didn't look up. Member Andrews.
Thank you. I wanted to say that I had an opportunity to attend the Floodplain Management Association conference at the beginning of September.
Oh, great. Someone got to go.
Yeah, so myself and Zubair Dosu were both in attendance, and
We only send the best.
it was a great opportunity for me to see people I had not seen since before lockdown. So appreciated the opportunity to actually see people in person. Some of the sessions that I attended were very relevant to some of the issues before the board, including a presentation on the vegetation management on levees manual, the draft for which is out from the Corps of Engineers, presentations on use of private insurance for flood risk management, which I think has some relevance, particularly for communities that maybe don't meet the threshold of warranting having projects constructed. There may be an opportunity to use insurance to cover some of the gap on that for parts of the Central Valley. And then certainly on the climate change hydrology presentations, which I also attended the coordinating committee meeting that was held this week on that. And after having seen it at the FMA conference, it was helpful to have it run through one more time. And I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with the material and the method used to get there and how we might be able to use it effectively for flood management. So excited about that.
They have a 36 PowerPoint slide at FMA.
I did not count the number of slides. I apologize.
Some of us were at coordinating committee and I saw that you were online and that,
Yeah.
yes, that's pretty dense information.
It was quite
So
dense.
too, I was thinking, okay, how do we figure out what's in there that we can use to make sure that the plan identifies what needs to be done to address the changed climate?
Mhm.
I don't like this climate change. I think it already has. And we
It
gotta
will
move-
continue.
But that's
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that. I used to be when there actually was money here and there, that lots more of us went, but it's good that we sent you and Zubair. Excellent. Did you want to talk about the coordinating committee?
I did,
Yeah.
if that's okay. So we, coordinating committee, the topic was science and specifically science that Department of Water Resources has been funded to do around weather modeling around climate change. And so it's very exciting to finally, having known about the budget proposal many years ago to fund this, it's very exciting to see the fruits of the labor. I'm really excited about how we can translate that into action, and how we can make it really consumable and usable for not just our asset planners, our asset managers, all the people that come to these meetings and have projects before us, but also for elected officials at all levels of government, state, county, reclamation districts, like all of the different people that really have ultimate say over whether, you know, they do the hard thing about going to get an assessment passed from their constituents. All of these things, this information needs to be able to be consumed and understood about how it impacts the system that we're working in. And it's just really exciting to see the state invest in this public science that can benefit and will and should benefit all of us. So just excited to see it finally, and I'm excited to do more of that in the future. Feedback to Chris.
Yeah, it seems that at some point it'll be brought to presentation or workshop for the board as well, for a wider audience, but it's it was good to start with coordinating committee. And there was 30-something in the room and 50 online, so there's interest. That's great. You were online, weren't you? Oh. Joe was online. Keely. Okay. I'll just say very briefly, because there's not going to be any time for this. The YOLO bypass cash flow administrative committee executive part of that has been meeting to try to move that forward. And I do know that our staff is particularly working to address the concerns of the two counties, YOLO and Solano, proactively. It's just something that kind of, it's gone up and down as it happens with funding, interest, COVID, all the rest of the stuff. So it's moving forward. So coordinating committee, master plan. Okay. Any other activities? Well, I'll let you know how we're all doing so. Next up, October 11th is board workshop. That's proposed to be here in this room. Next business board meeting, October 25th, right here in this room. And then a board meeting on November 15th. I was looking at my calendar and I actually had that on the week of Thanksgiving. So I'm glad that you moved that there. So those are upcoming meetings. Any other comments from board members before we go to closed session? Staff? I think that's all who's left. Audience there? Okay. That concludes our agenda of anything that would be actions or for the public to participate. So we're going to go into closed session. It will be a recess. And I'm going to ask our counsel, Mr. G, to announce the purpose.
Thank you, President Dolan. Today's closed session is being held pursuant to Government Code 11126. I think I heard E2B1 to consider potential litigation.
Okay, this is a concern of potential litigation. And I understand, I spoke to you yesterday on this, that you do not expect that there'll be any announcement. This is just discussion.
This is just for information for the
Information.
board, and we will not be having anything to report out after conclusion of the closed session. Thank you.
My estimate is 20 minutes.
Give or take. Could
Give
be
or
less.
take. I think more give. So at this point, we're either going to go into another room or we're going to ask people who are not associated with the board. I do want our deputy and our executive officer to stay for this, to leave. We'll let you know if there's any action, but I'm 100% certain that we're going to just talk. So we're going to recess to closed session. It's a recess. We'll return. When we return, we will make an announcement for the record if was any action or not. And at that point, we'll adjourn.